Hey, do you need a friend today? Well, welcome to the Tom Kelly Show podcast. Today on the podcast, I am doing a Get Ready With Me as I go from Higgins Beach, Maine to Southhold, Long Island to perform for the Cast Performing Arts Center for DC Benny's Northfork Comedy. Am I going to get to the show on time? Watch me screw it up. Let's start the show.
Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Here we go. Trigger warning, spoiler alert. Buckle down, people. Let's get ready with me. You are experiencing a day in the life edition of the Tom Kelly Show podcast. I am right now in Higgins Beach, Maine, in what has become my annual escape, biannual escape from the real world. This is the porch of the dream cottage. I'll show you around quickly for a second. There's my little writing corner there. I usually write right out of that, on that laptop and on that card table there. I have a notebook with ideas that I'm trying to write for new stand-up. You could sort of see the Jeep, and if you look out the window going this way, you could see the surfers. And what I like to do is I sit here and I try to write. I have created nothing good on this particular trip, but this is kind of my spot. Like if I could invent a spot like this in New York where I can kind of create and experience energy and then watch. Oh, and it's funny. This is my one idea I wrote down. I like watching good-looking people get parking tickets. And that's what this place is. So it's kind of I don't want to call it an exclusive neighborhood, but it is a neighborhood with lots of beach and limited parking. And this guy over there's just this guy. He's a kid. He just sits there giving people tickets all day long, and it's just fun to watch good-looking people get tickets. Anybody else? I love watching good-looking people get parking tickets. That's my new thing. I like watching good-looking people have their lives fall apart. Like it's funny. I had a friend, Karen Marino. She was a college friend, and she said this about one of the beautiful girls in college. There was actually, they were twins. We used to call them the Bobbsey twins. And the Bobbsey twins were beautiful and nice, and they had perfect hair. And I remember Karen, who was not perfect. Karen said, "Man, they need something bad to happen to them." So, yeah, it was kind of a mean thing to say. But, if you think about it, when we all have a little damage, that's kind of what makes us interesting and adaptable people. Like, oh God, this is going to get me in trouble. But years ago, I was hanging out with a woman socializing, of course, lusting for. That's how all these stories go. But she was Miss Teen South Carolina. Let's make it. I'm making up the state. I'm trying to change the story so I don't get hate mail. But she was like the nicest, happiest person. And she was Miss Teen South Carolina. And then a couple of years after that, she became Miss South Carolina and narrowly missed being Miss USA or Miss America. You pick the pageant. And God bless, this person was just so nice. And like the worst thing that happened in her life was not winning Miss America. Oh my God, I wasn't the hottest person in America that year. And then God bless her, she was like beautiful and sweet and loved like what I like to call millionaire Jesus, like Joel Osteen Jesus. There was a lot of Pastor Joel quotes, but anyway, and then the person became a model. And okay, whatever. Again, so messed up from not being Miss America, she gained weight and then somehow turned that into being a very rich and successful plus size model. And the hard part was there she was now at like 35, 38 years old, and even old. She was an old model, and God bless her, there really wasn't Like that, there was no struggle. So there was really, once you got past the hi, how are you stage, there was nothing interesting to her. So I was just thinking of that Karen Marino story of I always, that person needs something bad to happen to them. So for me, today, this is going to be a day in the life episode of the podcast. I have a 3-hour drive to Southhold, New York. And honestly, I forget how much I've told of the story so far, but basically, I asked a guy for work. I asked a comedy manager, hey, can you get me some gigs? And of course, he picks a date right in the middle of the 2 weeks that I wanted to take off. I said, I am not going to turn down the gig. Just to hide up here in Maine, because you can't turn down the first job a person gives you when you ask them for work. You just can't, people. Like, a lot of people do that. Like, there's that thing of, oh, I want the dream job. I've been doing that voice a lot lately. Have you noticed that? I don't know who that is, but it'll be like, okay, yeah, I want my dream job. And then you'll say, okay, I'll give you, and then the fairy godparent will say, okay, I'll give you your dream job. You have to be available June 15th. And then the person will say, well, I'm going to Maine that day. Do you have my dream on June 23rd? And I actually did that. And then I said, you know what? No, if you want to be a comedian, be a comedian. And that, if this is a self-help podcast, if this is something, you know what, man, when somebody offers you something you want, you got to take it. Now listen, there's an urge right now. All I want to do is sit right and watch the surfers and watch the waves crash. But, man, you got to chase a dream. So it's 3 hours to the North Fork of Long Island. I will get on a ferry there, drive another hour, and then I might stay at my friend Justin's house. I'll tell you that story in a minute. And then again, I might not. So, because there were terms to the house that he wanted to offer me. So I thought I would do with you guys 1/4 of the way through the show. I'm telling you about this. I'm going to do a get ready with me edition of the podcast. So this is what I'm doing. I just don't feel like driving. I don't feel like leaving this wicker chair over here. And what do I have to do to get ready? The reality is not that much. I have to close up the laptop. I have to put my notebook in the bag. I have my pills and my contacts already packed up. And yeah, man, it's time to get ready. So for those of you experiencing the audio version of the podcast, you won't see much in the way it changes. And for those of you experiencing this on video, hey, maybe this will be a little more stunning video-wise. Oh, there goes a surfer, and why am I telling you about that? You can't see the wave anyway. All right, guys, so that's the story. Let's get ready with me. So I don't always do this, but it's funny. My friend Chris, who you guys met on the podcast last week, and my college roommates used to make fun of me for always having a bottle of, not a bottle, but a kettle of water boiling at all times. I would just start boiling water and forget why I was boiling water. Am I making tea? Am I making this? Am I making that? Instead of taking coffee on the road, I am going to just boil some water and make some tea. And that's the excitement there. Also, just almost set the little hand towel on fire right on the live podcast. That would have been great. That would have been subpoenaed as evidence. And also, I'm having this moment of doubt. I don't know if you guys do this. Do you guys have pill counters? I just had this complete moment of fear. I have contacts, glasses, and I've been obsessing about packing my pills ahead of time. And for some reason, I seem to have taken my Saturday pills and my Sunday pills. So if my blood pressure drops later, again, folks, whatever police officer finds this podcast, please subpoena that as evidence. It's the first time I've ever done that. So I'm wondering what I did wrong or if I've done something wrong. Because also, for some reason, my Wednesday heart pill and allergy pill are not in there. So that, that's the hard part about moving. That's the hard part about moving around, is you start wondering, what did you pack? What did you forget to pack? And remember that movie Up in the Air? The more you have to pack, that was... So you got to realize, people, it's hard to give up this. It's hard to give up the water. It's hard to give up this. I'm packing one bike for my 1-day trip because I'm just afraid of seeing some place on the way there or on the way back that I feel like biking. And for those of you who've been following me a lot lately, I've been talking about my friend Nikki Delventhal, who has been living in a van or a Toyota Prius for the last couple of years. And I'll be honest, I'm jealous of her for a couple of reasons. Not just because of van life, but I like the idea of having all of your stuff in one spot. Like, it drives me nuts. I'll go all the way to Long Island. I'm like, did I bring my proper pills? Did I bring my contacts? Do I have shorts? Do I have a bicycle to go for a long ride? Do I have the right bicycle? Because sometimes you have the mountain bike and you want to go a long distance, or you have the road bike and you want to go on some trails with rocks that will give it a flat tire. So that's one of my anxieties when I go for a road trip, is I kind of want to have all my stuff with me. And remember, I'm descended from Italians and Irish people who traveled halfway around the world to come to a new country, but always hated to leave their own neighborhoods. Joy Behar has a joke about that works, but that sums up my family, and it kind of sums up me. I get a little bit more comfortable in knowing, all right, if I forget my underwear, I could just buy underwear, which, by the way, I bought at Martin's of Maine. If you want to know where I got today's boxers, Martin's of Maine on discount. Is there anywhere cheaper than Kmart to get your underwear? Martin's of Maine. So, what do you say? Enough procrastinating and we get on the road. So here is one killer for the trip. I think I said his name. My friend Justin has a house out in that neighborhood. And I actually took the gig with the hopes of actually spending a little bit of time with him and his awesome wife and their new baby. Turns out and also frankly, hoping to crash at least in the driveway of their home while sleeping in the Jeep, if not actually in their house. Because I forget if I said this already as I'm recording this in pieces. This is a $300 job. I am driving 6 hours and spending $140 in transportation costs for the gig to get so I can travel back and forth from vacation. And the hopes is that whoever's booking this, there's probably 2 or 3 people booking this that I wouldn't mind impressing. And the hopes is that they'll see me, they'll like me, and they'll book me for more little things, especially when I am closer to home. So, gets funnier. So, I'm like, all right, I can keep the cost down by staying at my friend Justin's, and maybe get some time with him. And it's funny, Justin's been on the podcast. I'm not allowed to say his last name. I'll bleep his last name if I say it. We had Justin on for a segment a while back with Mr. Manners. I mean, Justin was on arguably episode 50 of the podcast, maybe 75. I mean, he was on one of those early shows when it first became the Tom Kelly Show. And we had a manners expert settle whether or not I was a douchebag for ordering crabs, stone claw crabs, when I went out to dinner with him and our mutual friends, really more his friends, for his birthday. And Mr. Manners kind of sided with him. So gets funny. Oh God, this guy in front of me, he's a douchebag on an electric bike in the middle of the road. Trying to, this is it. People, these electric bikes, they're not quite motorcycles, and we're letting people who are out of shape with no hand-eye coordination and no experience exercising and being on a bike go out on bikes. That guy was in the middle of a 2-lane highway. There were other bikers, but they stay in the bike lane. This other guy, the fat man is passing the skinny people, and he has no hand-eye coordination and no experience. He wasn't raised on an e-bike, and he was actually going down into the nearby 55 plus community. That's not a man who's going to make it to 65. That's not. So problem with my friend Justin. Justin is no longer going to be in the town of Southhold for my day of performing. So I'm like, crap, I was kind of planning to get out there early, maybe hang out with him, buy him and his wife dinner, and then get him and his wife breakfast the next morning and then hit the road. So Justin said, no, but you can stay at my place if you want. But could you do me a favor and go into the basement and install the air conditioner in my bedroom? Now, I've actually helped him with this chore before. That is a 2-person job. And 2, my friend Justin's it's a family house. So it's understandably, they're neat freaks. Like they have a white sofa. They don't want me to sleep on it for fear that I make the sofa dirty. And that's the right move. But that said, you're afraid of me getting the sofa dirty, but you want me to install a dusty thing from the basement in your bedroom window, and you won't be there to check my work for a week. And never mind the uncomfortableness of lifting and carrying the air conditioner up the stairs. I'm just uncomfortable with him not being there to check my work. What if I leave the window open? What if the thing falls out the window during the week when nobody is there? So now all of a sudden that bomb was dropped on me yesterday, and I'm like, geez, do I just try to rush back here to Maine? Do I get a hotel room? So again, the gig pays $300. I'm paying minimum $150 if we don't look at the gas. I have a goal with my stand-up. I always call my stand-up the loss leader. Honestly, if you look at just my stand-up money, I really have not made that much money at my non-television stand-up performances. And honestly, man, outside of the comedians, I guess, whose names few of them do. But I always call it what Walmart calls the loss leader. And Walmart, if you watch Black Friday deals, on Black Friday, they'll give away a flat screen TV for $10. And the hope is that while you're in there buying the flat screen TV for $10, you buy 10 t-shirts. You buy things where the profit margin is higher. So that if they lose money on the TV set, if they lose $1,000 on the TV set, the hope is that you're going to buy $2,000 of other stuff that you may not have bought there because you snuck in to buy the $1,000 TV set. Am I making sense? I hope I am. So stand-up for me is you get good at it, and then you get other work. Like I got my radio job because I was doing stand-up. All the TV work you know me from, it's me applying skills that I've used as a stand-up comedian. Frankly, stand-up for me is to practice being funny, and if I'm feeling good about it, experience the joy of entertaining new people, going to new places. And I hate to say it, this is something I've only said in therapy, the possibility of getting laid after the show. That's it. Boom. All right, guys, so the show starts at 7. It is officially 6 o'clock. Let's play a game of Oops. I mistimed my arrival at the ferry and wound up waiting an hour to get the ferry. Show starts at 7. Ferry gets to land at 6:30, and it's a 20-minute drive from the ferry to Southhold, Long Island. So, little bit of tension. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be ballsy enough to live, or whatever you call it, podcast, do this. But what a beautiful shot of me and the cars. Look. There's the Jeep over there. Oh, can you see the Jeep? Yeah, there's the Jeep. There, boop, boop, there, boop. There's the Jeep. So, yeah, a little bit nerve-wracking. And, that's the one thing I'm not good at with travel is travel. I hate planning. I hate setting up time things. I mean, I actually planned the house thing with my friend Justin 2 weeks ago, and he is like, no, you just have to do some yard work and install something in the window. You know, it's like, this is the stuff that gives me anxiety. Now, that said, my friend Chris was warning me to leave earlier than I did. And, listen, there's a saying in comedy. You don't have to be good. You have to be on time. And I'm going to be on time, but I like being early. And now there's that moment where the guy who's running the show, I'm sure he's a little nervous, like, where the hell's Tom Kelly? Is he going to have time to park the car? Is he going to have time to do this? Is he going to have time to do that? And, again, I'm spending 6 to 8 hours traveling to impress people, and I feel like I'm about to blow it. So I just did a fast change on the ferry deck, and I wanted to make the joke, hey, I'm in a rush. Can I get out first? But they're not, nobody laughed. Nobody laughed. So here's the moment where I think this is the place. I see signs with my picture on it, so this better be it. And let's enjoy that hilarious moment when you thought you were late and it turns out that you're an hour early. And just for the record, I installed the air conditioner and it wasn't nearly as anxiety producing as I thought. All right, and how about this for the twist ending, ladies and gentlemen? I read the sign wrong. There's a reception at 7 and the show starts at 8. So that means I'm actually an hour and 15 minutes early. How about that for drama and tension? I already went into the room. It looks gorgeous. And in the end, after texting the booker, oh my God, I'm going to be late. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm actually an hour and 15 minutes early. So there's a life lesson here. I just don't know what it is. Comment if you want to comment, if you have something to say. Should I put in my friend's air conditioner tonight? It still seems weird to me. It still seems weird to go into a person's home, sleep there, and then put in an air conditioner. Not comfortable. And for those of you following the day in the life of Thomas J. Kelly, here we go. We're going down into Justin's basement. Epilogue. Surprise ending. There is the air conditioner. And just for the record, I installed the air conditioner and it wasn't nearly as anxiety producing as I thought. So you know what to do, folks. Share the podcast with just one friend. Just tell one person that they would like the Tom Kelly Show. And that's it. That's all you got to do. I guess we'll talk about this more on a future show. Good night, Southhold.